If people keep disrespecting you, it is not random, and it is not just bad luck. There is a pattern. And the hardest part is this: you are inside that pattern. You feel it. The small comments, the subtle tone, the way people interrupt you, the way they dismiss what you say, the way they take more than they give, and somehow you end up being the one who feels uncomfortable, not them. You replay conversations later. You think of what you should have said. You wonder why it keeps happening. Because you are not weak. You are not stupid. You are not unaware. So why does this keep repeating? By the end of this, you are going to see the one thing most people never notice, the one shift that changes how people treat you. Not through force, not through aggression, but through something much quieter and much more powerful. Here is the truth most people avoid. Disrespect does not start with what others do. It starts with what they detect. People are constantly scanning, not consciously, but instinctively. They are reading your reactions, your tone, your boundaries, your hesitation, and they are asking one silent question: what happens if I cross this line? If the answer is unclear, they test again. If the answer is soft, they go further. If the answer is inconsistent, they push harder. This is not always malicious, but it becomes harmful when it is repeated. Because every time a line is crossed without consequence, that line disappears, and over time, you end up in a place where you are being treated in ways you would have never accepted at the beginning. Let's make this real. Someone makes a joke at your expense. You feel it. It is not funny, but you smile. You let it pass. You tell yourself it is not a big deal. That moment teaches them something. It teaches them that this behavior is allowed. Next time, the joke is sharper, a little more personal, and again, you hesitate, because now you are thinking, if I react, will I seem too sensitive? So you stay quiet, and the pattern locks in. Another example: someone interrupts you. You are in the middle of speaking. They cut you off. You pause. You let them continue. You wait for a moment to jump back in, but that moment never comes. That teaches them something too, that your voice can be overridden, that your space in the conversation is negotiable, and over time you start speaking less, not because you have nothing to say, but because you expect to be cut off. Now here is where it gets deeper. You think the problem is confidence, so you try to be more confident. You try to speak louder, you try to assert yourself. But it does not fully work, because the issue is not volume, it is consistency. Disrespect grows in inconsistency. When sometimes you tolerate something, sometimes you react, sometimes you ignore, sometimes you overreact. That unpredictability confuses people, but it does not stop them. It actually invites more testing, because they are trying to find the real boundary. And if the boundary keeps moving, they keep pushing. And this is where most people miss it. You were trained to avoid conflict, to be understanding, to be patient, to give people the benefit of the doubt. So when something feels off, your first instinct is not to set a boundary. It is to explain, to justify, to soften. You think if you say it the right way, they will understand. But people who disrespect you are not waiting for better wording. They are watching your tolerance. That is what they respond to, not your explanation, your tolerance. And this is where most people make the biggest mistake. They wait until they are overwhelmed, until they are frustrated, until they are emotionally flooded, and then they react strongly, suddenly, out of character, and in that moment it feels like you are finally standing up for yourself, but to the other person it looks inconsistent. Because yesterday you tolerated it, last week you tolerated it, and now suddenly it is a problem. So they do not take it seriously. Or worse, they turn it around on you. They say you are overreacting, they say you are being dramatic, and now you are back in the same loop, trying to explain, trying to justify, trying to be understood, while the pattern continues. But the most dangerous part is what happens next. You start adjusting yourself. You become more careful, more aware, more filtered. You try to prevent disrespect by being easier to deal with, less confrontational, less expressive, less direct. And without realizing it, you start shrinking, not physically, but psychologically. You take up less space, you speak with less certainty, you hesitate more, and that does not reduce disrespect, it increases it, because now the signal you are sending is clear. There is no solid boundary here. And people respond to that, consciously or not. So the real shift is not becoming louder, it is becoming clear. Clear in a way that does not depend on your mood, or the situation, or the person. Clear in a way that is consistent. Here is what that looks like. When someone interrupts you, you do not wait. You say, "Let me finish," calm, neutral, no extra emotion. When someone makes a disrespectful joke, you do not laugh it off. You say, "I don't like that," and you stop there. No long explanation, no over-justification. When someone dismisses what you say, you do not chase validation. You say, "That matters to me," and you hold your ground. These are small responses, but they are powerful because they are immediate and consistent. You are not waiting until you are overwhelmed. You are not building silent resentment. You are addressing the behavior in real time, and that changes everything. Because now the question in their mind is answered. What happens if I cross this line? Now they know. There is a response, not aggressive, not emotional, but firm. And over time, people adjust. The ones who respect boundaries will respect you more. The ones who relied on your silence will feel uncomfortable. Some may pull back, some may test you again, but if your response stays consistent, the pattern breaks, not because you forced it, but because you removed the confusion. And this is where your identity shifts. You stop seeing yourself as someone who gets disrespected, and start seeing yourself as someone who responds clearly. That difference is everything, because it is not about controlling others. It is about controlling your response. And your response teaches people how to treat you, not once, but over time, through repetition, through consistency, through clarity. You do not need to dominate a room. You do not need to prove anything. You do not need to win every interaction. You just need to stop allowing small violations to pass unnoticed, because those small moments are where the pattern is built. And once you see that, you cannot unsee it. You start catching things earlier, you start responding faster, you stop overthinking simple boundaries. And slowly your environment changes, not overnight, but steadily, because the version of you that tolerated disrespect is no longer there, and people feel that, even if they cannot explain it. So if this has been happening to you, it is not because you are weak. It is because you are consistent in the wrong direction. You are consistently tolerating, consistently explaining, consistently giving the benefit of the doubt. And now, you shift that consistency into clarity, into boundaries, into self-respect that shows up in real time. That is the difference. And once that becomes your default, disrespect does not stick to you the same way anymore. Because you do not carry it, you address it, and you move forward without shrinking yourself to keep others comfortable.